Hello! Thank you very much for tuning in to this week's read. The cards I'm using for this week are The Art of Love Tarot by Denise Jarvie, artwork by Tony Carmine Salerno. See if we can get that all in there and then get it a little closer so you can freeze frame and get the spellings of that if you want. There is a website on the back. It is blueangelonline.com. There's even some verbiage there if you're interested in it. That's for the tarot portion. And the Oracle cards, Magical Spell Cards by Lucy Cavendish, illustrated by Jesse Reish, and at the bottom is the website hayhouse.com. And lastly, I do use dice for this. They're from amazon.com. This is what they are. They're metal dice. I use the 20 dice for the major arcana. 21 is missing, obviously, but I just work with it. And then for the minor arcana, I use the 4 dice, the 1 through 4, to decide which element. So I start with fire, earth, water, air. That's how I do it. Fire, earth, I think so. And then whatever that lands on, that's what I go with. And then it's a 1 to 12 dice. 1 being the ace and 12 being the knight. I just work, it doesn't have the queen and king, but I roll with it. It works for me, in case you're wondering. All right, thank you for tuning into this week, and now on to your read. Hello, Leo. Thank you very much for tuning in to this week's read. This read is valid for whenever you tune into it. That being said, what do we have for Leo? So, a couple cards fell out while I was shuffling, so there's some type of mess going on around this situation that I feel like is not directly connected, but does seem to be affecting the situation. So before we go too far, I'm going to deal with what jumped out, because it seems like that's a good idea. Somebody being really negative to you, just like, it's almost like somebody just giving you issues just for being you. Just kind of like the fact that you're a Leo is bad. Like they're just being like that. Does that make sense? Like you're breathing air and that's a problem. They're like that. Does that make sense? This is going on around this. There's something that they just don't want to be. They caused an issue and they don't want to own it, and they're losing ground on this situation. This seems to be going on around the situation we're going to be talking about, but this is not that situation. That could be causing frustration for you, which could bleed over onto this, but that's not the core issue we're dealing with. Just in case that's going on in your life, this person is not what we're talking about. Although that may be a great source of aggravation, there's something else there like you can make a difference in that they're trying to highlight so that you can get something good out of this situation while that's happening. If that's happening. What we're dealing with is another situation that you've been very successful with for quite a time. Is it the perfect situation? No, but do you care? Probably not. This is kind of like, when you work in a hospital. It goes day by day, but maybe you get paid well or feel like you do, or maybe you like the people you work with most of the time. Every day is different. Not every day is a great day, but most of the time you seem to do very well and you feel very confident that you're where you should be. What's coming in next is the question. Because I get that there's I want to say the lack of movement. It's time for somebody else to go, but they're not going, is what I keep getting, which is the 8 of Cups. 8 of Cups is usually something moving on, but in this situation, I feel like they should be moving on, but they're not. That's what this is kind of starting with. Somebody who should be moving on who is not. And I feel like what they're saying for this, to start off with, is kind of like, you've been just kind of rolling with it and just kind of letting it be what it is. Okay. That's what I'm getting, like you've been fairly good with it. You may even kind of like be very careful about how close you get to it, because it's kind of like that something's supposed to happen. It's not. You don't want to really be a part of it. So you just kind of pull back where you can and kind of like, all right, they need to make their decision. I'm not here to make a decision for them, and I don't want to anyway. So I'm just dealing with it where I have to. I'm just trying to keep. I'm doing other things. I feel like this is one of those times where it's like, well, that is what it is. I'm just going to do other things while it's, stagnating. Somebody's holding on too long here. They think things are going to go better. Healing is going to happen here. They're not going to get the outcome that they want, but I feel like you already know that, though. I feel like you already know that they're not going to get the outcome that they want. They're holding on to something that's just not going to work. They're trying to force something forward that's not working. They're trying to barter and trade. It's almost like a grieving situation, almost. Kind of like trying to barter and trade on something that's already done, that's already finished. I feel like the healing going on here is not the healing they're looking for, but there will be healing for them. You do seem to be helping this by just letting it play out the way they need it to play out. They're overly bonded to something. And there is a very high level of loyalty, but they're overly bonded to something. And they're just not willing to let it go. There's very strong feelings of, there was better times and we can have those times again. Something like that going on here. Okay, so this is just explaining what we're moving forward. Now, what about the part where you have more of a choice to come up? Because I do see it coming in. There's a passive energy coming in that's just kind of shaking things up a little bit. You could block this. They're actually saying that, like, should you? I feel like I don't want to. There's a passive energy that could shake things up a bit and get things to move forward. I feel like that's not I'm getting like that. Don't do that. That's going to lead to a bad moment here that's not going to be good for anybody. I understand why you wouldn't get involved. Kind of like I haven't up to this point anyway. And, I'm not sure if that's really the best idea, but the situation does need to move forward. If I just let this person do what they do, well, at least it won't be my fault. At least it won't be my fault. They're saying don't let that happen. You could block this. They're saying block this. There is some type of challenge with that because it's almost like counterintuitive. Kind of like, well, we do want this to move forward, but that's not the right way for this to happen. For some reason, there is a challenge with this. Can we get more about what the challenge is for Leo? Because I do think it takes some finesse that maybe you just don't want to do. It's kind of like holding the line and letting it go at the same time. Kind of like still holding back and not getting overly involved in the situation, but still blocking something that you don't think should be there. It takes some finesse to not get involved deeply, but still block this at the same time. It's almost like, if we're going to use that hospital analogy again, it's like, that there's somebody who's going to work the next shift and you're like, uh-oh, they're scheduled for that room and I know how they are. It's almost like telling people, like, that person, they're like a klutzy person in a fine, it's a bull in a china shop. I'm trying not to say it. I don't know why. They're not going to talk well. They're going to cause problems. It's kind of like getting that to like get that to change before this person even shows up. Yeah, then they're like, well, do you want it? And you're like, no, I don't want it. Or worse, like, yeah, I guess I'll take it, but then still like not overly doing it and still being kind of frustrated yourself with the situation, kind of like understanding the need to make it change, but blocking the person who doesn't seem to have enough couth to stay out of it. It's kind of like, I don't really want to be a part of that. I don't really want to do it. I don't want to be connected with that, but I know this other person will definitely screw it up, so I have to block them. And it's almost like to block them, I have to do it, and I don't really want to. Not because you can't, but because of the finesse it takes to work it out right. That's a challenge. The situation is not ready to finish off on its own. Whatever's holding it back needs to solve its own problem, whatever that is. There's a lot of work to remove the block. But I feel like whoever is blocking it, whoever the person is who is trying to hold back and doesn't want things to change, they really need to do it themselves. If somebody else does it for them, I feel like that's a disaster. It's a bad idea. It should not happen. So it's just keeping going with the situation as is, blocking other people who might cause a problem and actually force it forward, even though I feel like you kind of feel like, yeah, no, it does need to move forward, but the thing is that would be the wrong way for it to move forward. Whoever it is has to move forward on their own accord is what I'm getting. Is there anything else for Leo on that? Because I'm like, it does seem counterintuitive is what I'm getting, because it's kind of like, I could solve this and move on from it, and it's not my fault. But I'm getting like, there's more going on here. That person, whoever that person is, I don't know if this sounds right. Remember, this is a general read, so take it with a grain of salt. It's their responsibility to move forward when it's time for them to move forward. It may seem strange to say that, I get, for some reason, but it really is. It's something that they have to move forward with. This is going to cause an imbalance. It could cause a karmic debt. Keep aware of that. I feel like most people know what karmic debt is. It's kind of like, you do something. Karma's not about your intention. Karma's about this is the effect you had, so you're going to live the other side of that. That's how karma balances out. You know what I mean? It's like you stole somebody's lunch, but you're like, yeah, but I was hungry. I had to. Down the line, you're going to be really hungry, and you're going to find out somebody stole your lunch. That's the karma balance. You know what I mean? Maybe not. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to let it go. And you make up your own mind what you think you should do. If this reading is hitting, I feel like you're already going to make up your mind fairly quickly. This is just meant to give you some extra information to help you make that decision. All right, I'm going to shut this down here. Hope that helps. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below, same email. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.